It started with a clock. Not ticking, not moving, just stuck. In the Batcave, surrounded by shadows and silence, Bruce Wayne stared at the motionless clock face. Every gear perfect, every wire untouched. Yet time refused to move. That's when he knew something was wrong with the universe. Batman had seen gods, aliens, demons, even the literal embodiment of chaos. But this was different. Because this time, it wasn't the world that was breaking. It was reality itself. Across Gotham, people whispered strange words. Memories of lives they never lived. Heroes who never existed. A world that felt rewritten. And at the center of it all, a glowing blue figure standing at the edge of everything. Dr. Manhattan. Bruce didn't believe in fate. He believed in evidence. Patterns. Logic. But what happens when logic dies? He traced the anomaly back to a single object found buried in the ruins of the Watchtower. A yellow smiley face pin, smeared with a drop of blood. It didn't belong to this world. It belonged to another. Batman held it under the scanner. Energy readings were off the charts. Radiation unlike anything known to science. And then, for a fraction of a second, he saw him. A tall, glowing man watching from beyond the monitor. Blue skin, emotionless eyes. And in that moment, Batman felt something he hadn't in decades. Powerlessness. That same night, the Batcomputer started talking back. Not with words, with equations. Symbols that formed and reformed in impossible sequences. And at the center of those symbols, a message. You are seeking meaning in a world that has none. Bruce froze. He didn't type that. No one could hack this. You were trying to fix a clock that was never broken. And then the monitors went dark. Over the next few days, Batman's world grew stranger. He'd wake in one place and find himself in another. A battle he'd fought yesterday was suddenly something he'd never lived. Files changed. Memories erased. Even the faces of his allies shifted. One moment Dick Grayson, the next, someone else entirely. The timeline was bending around him. But Bruce didn't panic. He did what he always does. He investigated. He traveled to Metropolis, where Superman confessed he'd been having the same dreams. Visions of a world that once existed. A world that had been stolen. Someone is playing with our lives, Clark said, fist trembling. Batman already knew who. He had seen him once before, on the day the universe reset. When the Flash returned from the Speed Force, speaking of timelines, paradoxes, and a being who could reshape everything with a thought. That being was Dr. Manhattan. But who was Manhattan? A god? A scientist? A man? Bruce read everything he could find from the fragments of the Watchmen universe that had merged with theirs. John Osterman, a nuclear physicist turned godlike entity after an accident. He'd stopped perceiving time as we do. To him, past, present, and future were one continuous moment. He saw every outcome, every possibility, every mistake. And somewhere, in that endless vision, he saw us. The DC universe. And he decided to rewrite it. Batman followed the radiation trail through the multiverse's scars, crossing dead timelines and forgotten realities. Universes where Superman never landed, where Bruce never became Batman. At last, he arrived at the heart of the storm. A barren, white landscape outside of time. Everything silent. Everything still. And there, standing like a god among ruins, was Dr. Manhattan. Manhattan turned slowly. His voice calm. His presence infinite. You shouldn't be here, Bruce Wayne. Bruce didn't flinch. You know my name? Good. Then you know I'm not leaving without answers. Manhattan looked down, eyes glowing with the light of galaxies. You seek to understand causality. But you are only a shadow moving through light. You changed our world, Batman said. You altered time, erased lives, manipulated history. What? Manhattan tilted his head, curious, almost human. Because I could. Because I wanted to see what happens when hope meets inevitability. You took 10 years from our lives. I gave you peace. I gave you time without pain. I gave your world a reset. And yet, you still seek the darkness. Batman stepped forward. You don't understand people, Manhattan. You don't understand why we fight. You can see everything, but you feel nothing. For a moment, silence. And then, a flash. Manhattan raised his hand. Reality bent. Batman found himself standing in Crime Alley. Rain falling. Gunshots echoing. His parents collapsing. "This is where it began for you," Manhattan whispered. "Every choice, every pain, every mask, born from this moment. Tell me, Bruce, would you change it if you could?" Batman didn't blink. "No." "Why?" "Because pain made me who I am. Because loss gives meaning to life. You wouldn't understand that." For the first time, Manhattan paused. The god of time, unsure. He saw something in Batman he'd never seen before, a human being who knew he couldn't win, yet fought anyway. "You are fascinating," Manhattan said softly. "You are everything I am not. And that's why you'll never beat me," Batman said. Manhattan smiled faintly. "Perhaps. But I don't need to beat you. I just need to observe." And in a shimmer of blue light, he was gone, leaving Batman alone, standing in a world that no longer followed the rules of time. But he wasn't done. He never is. Because if Dr. Manhattan could rewrite the universe, Batman would find a way to decode it. And this time, the world's greatest detective was hunting a god. The next morning, Batman woke up to find the sun rising twice. Two identical dawns. Two identical shadows. Reality was folding. He rushed to the Batcomputer, or what was left of it. Every system flickered between versions of itself. In one, Alfred was alive. In another, gone. The timeline was collapsing in on itself, all because of Dr. Manhattan. And deep down, Bruce knew this wasn't chaos. It was a test. He called in the only person who understood the nature of time itself. Barry Allen, the Flash. Barry appeared in a burst of lightning that split the Batcave walls. "It's happening again, Bruce. I can feel it. Timelines, memories, the Speed Force is screaming." "Manhattan's behind it," Bruce said. "He's reshaping the past again. But this time, he's not hiding it." Barry clenched his jaw. "Then we go to him." "No," Bruce replied. "We find where he'll be." Because Batman didn't chase gods. He predicted them. For weeks, Bruce studied the residual energy from Manhattan's presence. Blue quantum radiation that pulsed like a heartbeat across dimensions. He found a pattern hidden within it, a rhythm, a code. Every fluctuation lined up with a moment of emotional significance in the universe. The birth of Superman. The death of Thomas and Martha Wayne. The first flight of Wonder Woman. Dr. Manhattan wasn't randomly changing time. He was studying emotion itself. "He's measuring our hearts, Barry," Bruce said. "He wants to know why we fight, why we hope. He's testing the value of humanity itself." Meanwhile, across existence, reality began to decay. Cities duplicated. Heroes vanished. The Justice League itself splintered across timelines. One Superman lived in a world that worshipped him as a god. Another died, saving a city that never existed. Diana found herself forgotten, her name erased from history. Every hero faced a different past, a different truth. It was like watching memories bleed. And in the center of that storm, a glowing blue figure watched silently. Dr. Manhattan. Batman and Flash tracked the epicenter of the collapse to a void between dimensions, a shimmering rift called the Quantum Sea. It was there that reality itself was being rewritten. But the closer they got, the more the universe fought back. Barry's molecules began to destabilize. Time bent around Bruce's body like glass. And then, as they crossed the final horizon, they saw it. A giant clock, suspended in the void, its hands moving backward. Each tick erased a century. Each talk rewrote one. And standing at its center was Dr. Manhattan. "You shouldn't have come," Manhattan said, voice echoing like thunder through thought itself. Bruce glared up at him. "You're destroying everything. Every life, every choice, every second, erased because you're curious." "I am not destroying," Manhattan said softly. "I am resetting. I am seeking truth. I have watched your universe try to find meaning in chaos. I wanted to see if hope can exist without lies." "Hope isn't a lie," Flash snapped. "It's the one thing that keeps us from breaking." Manhattan's eyes glowed. "Then prove it." And suddenly, they were somewhere else. Barry and Bruce stood in a Gotham that wasn't theirs. No heroes. No memories. Just endless darkness, and a single bat signal, flickering weakly in the storm. Every choice you've made, Manhattan's voice thundered, has led to death, pain, and fear. Yet you call it justice. A gunshot rang out. Bruce turned and saw Joe Chill, alive again, standing over the bodies of his parents. Tell me, Batman, Manhattan whispered. Would you save them if you could? Bruce's fist clenched. He could feel the rage, the pain, the temptation. He could change it all, stop the gun, save his parents, erase the pain that created the bat. But then he looked up at the skyline, Gotham, broken and wild, and whispered, No, you don't understand, do you? Bruce said, You can control everything, but you don't feel anything. You erase pain, but pain is what makes us human. It's what makes our choices matter. Manhattan blinked. Pain is inefficient. So is love, Bruce said. And yet, it's the most powerful thing in the world. For the first time, the god hesitated. He looked down and saw his hands trembling. Blue energy sparking, unstable. What is this uncertainty? It's doubt, Batman said quietly. It means you're starting to become one of us. But before Manhattan could respond, a crack split the sky. The timeline, overloaded with paradoxes, began to collapse. Universes colliding, collapsing, screaming. Barry grabbed Bruce's shoulder. We have to move now. He's breaking everything. Manhattan looked up, eyes wide, not with anger, but realization. I didn't intend this. Then fix it, Bruce demanded. You wanted to know why we fight? It's not for control. It's for each other. For the seconds we can still save. The god of time and the man who refused to yield stood side by side, staring into the apocalypse. Reality fractured around them, shards of every DC timeline spiraling like glass. From one fragment, Superman cried out. From another, Wonder Woman fell in battle. From yet another, a child watched his parents die. Show me how, Manhattan whispered. Bruce closed his eyes. You already know. You've seen every possibility. Choose the one where we don't give up. For a moment, the blue light of Manhattan's body flickered. Then his voice broke through the chaos. I see it now, the pattern within the noise. The will to exist. The choice to fight, even when there is no reason. He raised his hand, and with a single motion, time stopped collapsing. Everything froze. Then, slowly, the universe began to rebuild itself. Worlds reformed. Timelines realigned. Memories found their rightful places again. The war for reality was ending. But not without a cost. Because as the universe healed, Dr. Manhattan began to fade. Bruce, he said softly, his voice now human, fragile. Perhaps this is what it means to be alive. What are you doing? Batman asked. Restoring what I took. Returning the hope I stole. At what cost? At mine. The god of time smiled faintly. Maybe the universe doesn't need a god. Maybe it only needs a detective. The light flared, brighter than 1,000 suns. When it faded, Bruce stood alone in the void. The clock was ticking again, and time was moving forward. But something felt different. A warmth in the air. A presence, like someone watching. Because Dr. Manhattan was gone, but not dead. He had become part of time itself. And the war for reality had only just begun. Batman walked out of the Batcave into a Gotham drenched in rain. Everything looked the same, yet nothing was the same. The world had been rebuilt, stitched back together by a god who had finally learned restraint. But Bruce knew better than anyone. Peace is temporary. Hope is fragile. And gods are unpredictable. The absence of Dr. Manhattan left a void. Not a physical emptiness, but a cosmic gap in the fabric of time itself. Every hero felt it. Superman noticed strange shifts in reality, stars blinking in and out of existence. Wonder Woman felt whispers of worlds that never existed. Even Barry Allen, fastest man alive, could sense the timeline vibrating like a guitar string about to snap. And only one person understood the danger better than anyone. Batman. He analyzed the residual energy Manhattan left behind. A faint quantum signature, lingering like smoke. Not fully present. Not fully gone. It was watching. Waiting. A thought crossed Bruce's mind. If Manhattan ever returned, would he still see us as flawed insects? Or as equals? Because one thing was clear. Dr. Manhattan didn't hate humanity. He was curious. And curiosity is far more dangerous than anger. Bruce summoned Oracle, Alfred, and Cyborg. They gathered in the Batcave, poring over every fragment of Manhattan's presence, trying to understand what he had left behind. He's embedded himself into the timeline, Cyborg said, his fingers flying over the holographic interface. Every action, every choice, he can observe instantly. And theoretically, he can manipulate it at will. Alfred's voice trembled. Do you really think he would harm us again, Master Wayne? Bruce didn't answer immediately. He looked out over Gotham, neon lights reflecting off wet streets. Children playing, unaware of the cosmic game above them. I don't know, Alfred, he said finally. But if he does, I want to be ready. The first sign came with a rip in the sky. A streak of blue light, coiling like a serpent, appeared over Metropolis. Superman and Wonder Woman were the first to notice, flying up to investigate. It's not him. It can't be, Diana said. But as they approached, the air shimmered. Reality twisted. Buildings bent. Time itself slowed in pockets. And then, Manhattan appeared. But he wasn't fully present. His body flickered between forms. Blue, human, half visible, a god trapped between dimensions. You were correct, Batman, Manhattan said, voice calm yet infinite. Humans are persistent. Hope is powerful, but can you withstand it? Batman stepped forward, cape billowing in the distorted wind. I don't fight gods, he said. I fight threats. And you're a threat to everything I've sworn to protect. I am not a threat, Manhattan said. I am the question, the one you must answer. The one who sees everything, past, present, and future. And I want to know, what is the value of a single life? Bruce finished. Manhattan tilted his head. Exactly. The god reached out, and suddenly Bruce's mind was flooded. Every choice he had ever made. Every timeline, every universe, every decision he never dared to take. Every life touched by the Batman. It was overwhelming. It was infinite. And for a brief moment, Bruce felt himself breaking. But Batman doesn't break. He focused on the humanity in the flood of infinity. He saw Alfred's loyalty. He saw Gotham's resilience. He saw children laughing, people fighting back against despair, heroes rising despite insurmountable odds. The value of a life is not in its perfection, Bruce whispered to Manhattan. It's in its choice. Its courage. Its hope. Manhattan paused. For the first time, the god of time felt emotion. It wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't alien. It was human. And it terrified him. You have shown me something I did not anticipate, Manhattan said. You are extraordinary, Bruce Wayne. Not because of your strength, or skill, or intelligence, but because you matter to this world. Not in power, but in purpose. Purpose matters more than power, Batman said quietly. It's why we fight. It's why we survive. And it's why gods like you can't replace us. Manhattan studied him, the detective, the man, the symbol. And slowly, he began to fade, dissipating across the timelines he had altered. Not destroyed. Not defeated. Just letting go. The sky cleared. The city returned to normal. Time flowed once more. Bruce stood alone on a rooftop, cape flapping, city lights glittering beneath him. He lit a signal, not for heroes, not for gods, but for the people he protects. He whispered into the night, the world is fragile. But so am I, and that is why I matter. Somewhere, beyond the veil of reality, Manhattan watched. And perhaps he learned the final lesson. Even gods are incomplete without humanity. And so the war for reality ended. Not with destruction, nor triumph, but with a question. One that echoes through time, space, and the heart of every hero. What does it truly mean to matter? Batman didn't answer. He simply continued his watch. Because some questions have no end.